I'm an indie game developer who has been working on 2 games over the past few years. Character design and writing has become a big passion of mine and is probably my favorite hobby. It makes me wonder, what would Yandere Simulator be like if I had written it rather than Yandere Dev writing it? Yandere Simulator is a very well-known game at this point, and it is also very well known for its issues and its creator. So I'm here to put my own spin on it and completely change Yandere Simulator if it had been my story and not Yandere Dev's story. My characters might not resemble the original Yandere Simulator characters, since my intention is not to redesign or fix their designs. It is simply to recreate them if I had written them. In saying that, I also have no intention to use this video to shame any of the artists who worked on Yandere Simulator, since their art was never an issue with the game. I just wanted to add, this version of Yandere Simulator, in quotes Yandere Simulator, is very targeted towards what I enjoy. It's not really targeted for anyone. It's not meant to be like, hey, my version is better. These are all just things I enjoy, so it's literally how I would write it if I were to write it. So if you don't enjoy any of the things I'm including, that's okay, because it's not meant to be for everyone. It is very altered to my preferences. To start us off, I'm gonna go over my ideas for the plot and my issues with the original game while showing this time-lapse of the school uniform. So firstly, not all the rivals are gonna stay, obviously, because some of them are weird, some of them I just don't like them. I intend on keeping Osana, Amai, Kizana, Oka, Osoro, and Megami. And on top of that, I am keeping Hanako, but she's not a rival, which I'll talk about later in her redesign. As for the nurse, the teacher, and Asurito, I'll either completely change them or just exclude them. And when I say completely change, I mean they will be nothing similar. Like, they will be a completely different character, so not a nurse and not a teacher. I also think the rivals were very repetitive, how pretty much all of them were club leaders, and then how each week one of them would be at school while the rest of them wouldn't be at school. Like, it's just like, it's very unrealistic. I don't intend for this version of Yandere Simulator to be realistic, but I don't think that makes any sense to me. Like, how are you missing that much school? So for the school uniform, I decided to keep the school colors from the original uniform, so that is white, blue, and the sort of red color, which I changed to a more pink, but I wanted it to be very, very unique. Like, in anime, a lot of school uniforms are very distinct to their show. Like, for example, Madoka, you can look at that and you will know it's the Madoka uniform, not some random sailor school uniform. So that's sort of what I wanted to go for when redesigning the uniform for my version of it. I wanted it to stand out, I wanted it to be unique. I didn't want it to be something you could just buy off Amazon. Like, I want it to be specific to the game. On top of that, I think Ayano and Senpai's relationship is very boring. Like, if they did end up together, I don't even know what they would talk about. It just seems that boring. Like, so I'm intend on completely changing them. I mean, by a lot. I don't have a lot of the plot set in stone, but I do have a lot of ideas which I want to expand on more later. So Ayano is a very interesting character. She's meant to be the Yandere of Yandere Simulator, but she doesn't feel like a Yandere. She just feels like a killer who has no emotions, and overall, she's really poorly written. And this whole Aishi curse is dumb, and the way Yandere Dev says he wants a blank slate protagonist with no personality, no backstory, and proceeds to give her a backstory baffles me. So I know this might not be everyone's cup of tea, but for my Ayano, for my rewrite, I'm going to spice things up by making her a cross-dresser. So Ayano is actually a guy who is interested in Senpai, who cross-dresses as a girl. I'm still working on it. It's very inspired by Secret Alliance, which is a manhwa. I can't remember who the author is, but it was a very interesting manhwa, and I think the concept of cross-dressing to be around someone, it's very intense. Like, it would make Ayano a more intense yandere than just a killer. Like, it shows that he or she would be very devoted to go as far as cross-dressing rather than just being emotionless since birth. On top of that, I want the stalking aspect of Ayano to be more prominent. I feel like a lot of the dialogue is just Ayano followed Senpai home Ayano watched senpai walk home, Ayano watched senpai go to school, but like as a yandere, stalking is very common in these tropes, except it's just not in Yandere Simulator. It's just text. You just have to imagine it's there, which isn't really the same. It would be creepier if we actually saw that or actually got to play as it, but it doesn't really feel like it. And I know we have the senpai shrine, but I feel like that doesn't really make up for the lack of stalker behavior. Like if you want to write a yandere, I feel like you should just go all in and make it very intense. I think for my version of Ayano, I want the male version of him to be very like a loner, very insecure, self-isolated. Meanwhile, the Taro or senpai of this story is a very outgoing, well-liked guy, which is, you would expect Ayano to envy him, but I think it would be more interesting if Ayano actually admires Taro for being so different to him, and that's where he finds his interest in Taro. I think I can definitely expand on it. I can add more like why he's interested in Taro, like what's the backstory, how did they meet, stuff like that, but that's all I have so far. I also think Ayano, while cross-dressing as a girl, could be slightly more popular and friendly, and I think she should at least have 1 or 2 friends, because it's kind of like, I feel like it would be a bit strange if she didn't have any friends throughout the whole of high school. Like, so for her design, I gave her a long ponytail, which is sort of similar to her original design, how she had a ponytail, except I made her hair this sort of grayish purple color with pink in it, because I wanted to make her hair pink or red, because those are like typically associated with yanderes, but I just didn't feel like it suited her. I did have a design where her hair did have red in it, but I just wasn't enjoying it that much, so I did this purple color and the pink because I think they really suit each other. They go well together and they go well with the uniform for her. For the uniform, I wanted to be customizable, so I gave her these leg warmers with her stockings, and other than that, I gave her the default black turtleneck that was in the uniform redesign, and that's pretty much her design. For Osana, I'm gonna keep her as a tsundere, much like how I'm gonna keep a lot of the other rivals intense and extreme, like dere sort of personalities. I kept her long orange-ish pigtails. In the end, they're not very orange. I think they're more like a light blonde or like a strawberry blonde, whatever you want to call it. But I kept the pigtail and the overall like pink theme because I do actually really like Osana. I think her design was cute, but the stockings and the scrunchies and the hair ribbon were all just a bit too much for me. But I do like the pigtails. I do like tsundere trips. She was my favorite rival. I think it would be interesting if maybe Ayano could like maybe say hi to Taro in class, like maybe they're in the same class, and then Taro would be like, oh hi, because he's just a friendly guy who talks to everyone in his class, and Ayano actually is able to say hi back because she's in like the cross-dressing disguise. And maybe like Osana then gets jealous and sees Ayano as a rival. Like, I know the term rival is used for the 10 girls, but like as an actual rival, like not just Yandere Simulator rivals. I also think it would be interesting if maybe one rival at least finds out about Ayano's secret about cross-dressing and stalking, and then that could be like leverage against Ayano, which would give more reason to attack the rival, or you know, like they would have blackmail over you, which would make things a lot more interesting than just you kill one of them each week. Other than that, I gave her a pink cardigan and I changed the turtleneck from black to white because I felt like it suited her better, and I gave her these little ribbons all throughout her hair. She was actually like sort of inspired by Kurumi from D4DJ. Yeah, there's not much else to say. She's just a gal, and that is Osana's design. Next is Taro. So he looks nothing like his original design because I could not bear that. That was too much. That was not allowed. I was not letting that slide. His original character is a wuss, a coward, boring, basic, loner, reader. I don't care. I don't like it. My Taro, I want him to actually be desired by 10 girls, not just some random loser but yandere that thinks 10 girls would like. He's overall very good looking, very smart, very talented. I thought maybe each week maybe he could join a different club, which is how he gets to know these different girls because they all seem to be in a club for some reason. That's just an idea. Anyways, he's very talented. He's like interested in multiple things like baking, drama, whatever, you name it, sports. And I think it will also be interesting if he was a very patient person. So in the original, Osana will like yell at him for doing anything and he'll just be like, I'm sorry. I feel like it would be more interesting if he actually said like, not you're right, but sort of like be more understanding, like have patience with her, you know. And then she feels bad because she's yelling at him, she's being mean, but he's really understanding about it and he doesn't care to speak up, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah, overall he's just a kind, caring, very good person, and that's what draws in all these different girls, and also all the different talents and that he's smart. I think maybe he could still be like a book nerd in his free time, like maybe he will have a few spots in the day where he will go to the fountain and read, but overall he's like, I think his schedule should be a bit more busy, because his schedule every day is like eat lunch with a girl, go read, go home. Like, it's very boring, it's not very interesting. He's not an interesting guy. For his design, I decided to give him this long hair. I actually designed him after Hanako, so I tried to make him look like Hanako, which is where I found issues because I had different ideas for his hair color, but I wanted them to look related, so I gave him Hanako's hair color. I gave him this long sort of shaggy haircut just because I thought it looked good, no specific reason, and I gave him like sort of the default male uniform just because I thought it would be interesting if him and Ayano's uniform looked similar, since they are meant to be like one's popular and one's not popular sort of thing. On top of that, I don't understand why the characters are in different grades. Like, I think Taro's in his 3rd year based on the classroom he's in, but I don't understand how he hasn't met Ayano, how he hasn't met any of these girls until his 3rd year of high school. Like, how are you just not talking to anyone? It's crazy to me. So I think he should be in a different grade. I think a lot of them should be in a different grade, maybe like 2nd or 1st, and maybe he's met Ayano before, or he's met some of the rivals before, because it just doesn't make sense writing wise. I don't know, I'm rambling. Aside from that, there's not much to say about his design other than his color palette is meant to look like Hanako's, and overall it's just what I thought would look good. Last redesign is Hanako. I wanted her to be very fashionable, girly, very interested in J fashion. I don't think my version should have any specific country designated to the story, so I might change their names and they might be like Western names or like completely different names. But yeah, I think she's interested in J fashion, even though the school might not be set in Japan, but you get my point. So I actually, for her hair, I referenced Purin from Nanimono, which is an idol group I really like. Going back to what I said earlier, she is not one of the 10 rivals. She is instead an obstacle, so she might interfere with Taro's day. Maybe you plan to meet him, but Hanako goes up to him instead. Like, she just sort of gets in your way. You're not competing with her, she's just an obstacle, like she's a roadblock, if that makes sense. So no, she's not considered one of the 10 rivals, which is why I'm keeping her, but she is meant to slow down your killings. Or maybe she's like friends with Osana and then you go to kill Osana, but Hanako's there. So similar to Rairu, but not as annoying. On top of that, I think Hanako should be in her 1st year. I don't really know if she was meant to be because we don't know a lot about her since she's not in the game. But my Hanako is in her 1st year of high school, which is why she tends to hang around senpai so much, because she's excited to be there. She's excited to finally be in high school with him, or college, or whatever school setting this is. And so she hangs around him because she's finally excited to be in school with him, and see what he's been up to while she hasn't been there. For her design, it's just very standard. It's very cute. I kept the hot hair clip that she had. Originally, I thought her design was very plain. I thought her, Ayano, and Taro looked like siblings, like all 3 of them, so I made sure to keep that separate. But her original design was just very boring to me. Pigtails were a bit boring. I didn't like her fringe. I just didn't really like her. So she's sort of like has the same personality, but she's very toned down. Like, she's not screaming in your ear, "Welcome home, big brother." Oh my gosh, I could not deal with that. whatever, I'm crashing out. She's just very tame. She's still the cute younger sister, but she's very subtle about it, and she's an obstacle. Overall, that's Hanako, and these are my 4 designs. I think there are definitely things I could change about them that I'm not overly happy with, and I am open to any criticism about the designs. I think the story is very underdeveloped, but I would like to keep writing it more if people are interested in it. I do think Osana could be changed a bit more because I do feel like she's a bit too similar to the original Osana. But yeah, I intend on changing their names and making them completely different to the original Yandere Simulator, since I want this to be its own thing, and if I can create it into a game one day, I think that would be very interesting. But for now, I do need to focus on my own 2 games. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see more parts of this, make sure to show your support. Thank you for watching.